the luck of, my life, I have women that from 50 to 70 years old that really gravitate towards me. And I love it. I love women in this age group just because of that wisdom. And I look at them as warriors because they have gone through incredible loss, incredible sacrifice. They've raised families, they've had big jobs, they have big degrees, or if they've been a stay-at-home mom, those are the ultra champions. My opinion.
Welcome to Zestful Aging Podcast, where I speak with change makers from all over the world, from every walk of life, who will inspire you to live with zest. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, and my mission is to bring you optimism about aging and help you make full use of the new opportunities that only come at this stage of life. And to find out more about this podcast, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. Well, if you followed me at all, you know I am no fan of dieting and restriction because we all know where that leads, in a shame cycle that erodes our relationship with ourselves. Our guest today is a transformational coach who focuses on, as she likes to call it, the age of wisdom, meaning that her midlife clients have an abundance of life experience and wisdom that they haven't yet tapped into, which can help them on their transformational journey. These extraordinary women are at the age where they now know better and are looking for help to do better and be better in lasting and sustainable ways. No more fad diets and no more restriction. Music to my ears. Yeah. Her areas of coaching focus on strength training, macro-based nutrition, and lifestyle and mindset work to help women rediscover themselves after too many fad diets and weight loss challenges. To do this, Caroline provides sound strength training, nutrition, and lifestyle practices that focus on building healthy fitness and nutrition habits over time and developing a loving, self-disciplined, but self-compassionate relationship with oneself. Oh my God, I love that. Sometimes for the first time. Welcome to the show, Caroline Drury.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to kind of electronically meet your audience.
I know my audience is so tired of hearing everything cauliflower, everything kale, everything this, and it's clean, and it's this, and it's that. And I find it to be so stressful, even for those of us who kind of, we know the big picture.
Yes.
We've been in this work for quite a long time, and it's just like a bombardment of what's healthy, what's not healthy. And I think it's really stressful for most people. Tell me about your approach, Caroline, because I know you, like me, are no fan of restriction. How do you think about wellness for middle-aged women and older?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you hit the nail on the head in that this area of our lives is so noisy. It is so noisy. So what I really work to do with women, and what they come to me actually in tears with, is that, Caroline, you simplified this process, or what I need to do. And generally, what I find is that stripping away the noise, helping women to strip away all the non-essentials and anything where they get lured in with the promise. If it sounds too good to be true, I guarantee you it's going to be too good to be true. When we strip that all away, it generally comes down to what they already know. And that goes back to the intro, talking to women in their age of wisdom. Women in this demographic are so intelligent and have so much wisdom. So women are moving anyways. So I just try to work with them through strength training and healthy fitness habits to get them moving more efficiently in a way that they enjoy, in a way that's going to benefit their lifespan and hopefully help match more their health span with their lifespan. Food, we're already eating. So let's just optimize the way that you're eating in a way that makes sense for you. And in the intro, I do focus mostly on macronutrient nutrition, but that's actually what I really start with women is let's just get you some more protein first. That generally is the big lacking. And then let's focus on
Mhm.
eating the rainbow. We can make them more fancy later, but let's just do that because you're already eating. Let's make it beautiful and fun and fit to your life.
Oh boy, do I love beautiful food.
Yes, well, we eat with our eyes. We really do eat with our eyes. So I try to
Mhm.
take everything that women are doing and let's just optimize it and let's cut out the noise. So that's really what I work with women
Oh
on.
boy, I bet that is such a relief. Just to hear now, I know protein gets talked about a lot,
Yeah.
and with my limited knowledge of this, I know that it is important for muscles, and muscles are important for everything.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about why protein is so important? Let's say over 45 or 50 years old.
Yeah. Well, protein for one, it helps to slow digestion. So oftentimes we have a really carbohydrate rich diet. It's really easy in this modern age of food to get quick hits of carbohydrates and a lot of fat. Protein is often very lacking. So that's often why women actually feel like they can't control their hunger because they're getting these big blood sugar spikes and then big crashes. So protein actually, when you eat protein with a meal, it actually just helps to round out the meal and actually slows down the digestion. And also, it's a harder macronutrient, again, like the big makeup of our food. Uh, it's slower to digest, so it actually will keep you fuller longer. So, just in
Mhm,
the maintenance of one's appetite, which actually a lot of women feel like they can't get a handle on, which impacts the mental side of this and how they mentally relate to food. I'm not going to go on that tangent right now, but so actually
mhm,
protein helps us feel satiated longer. So
mhm,
that's a really important one. Obviously, combine enough protein with strength training, you're building lean muscle mass. And as we age, it's just study after study after study after study after study is now correlating the importance of lean muscle mass to how we age. Not only its effects in warding off some of the most major diseases, but
mhm,
also our impact to recover from them, but also our ability to be able to move as we get older, get ourselves on and off the toilet. Like if we fall, allow
mhm,
us to get up. Um,
mhm.
and then also
Functional.
functional, and protein is also incredibly important in the maintenance of just our bodily health, obviously muscles, but hormone production, our immune system, things that are so incredibly important. And we know that as we age, our immune system also will often start to decline sooner than we're ready for it to. So with having enough protein, you're going to be really getting your body the building blocks to be able to maintain just some of its most essential functions.
Mhm. So, give me an example if you wouldn't mind, because I think breakfast might be. Let's just start there.
Yeah,
And would you give me some examples of a protein-rich breakfast, both maybe meat eaters, dairy
yeah,
eaters, and perhaps non-meat eaters or vegetarians? What would that even look like?
yeah. That's a great question. So, let's start with let's just start with like a nice basic breakfast. It's very, very simple. And this is what I work with women too to keep actually your meals, except for like the special ones, but when you're really learning how to recalibrate your meals, to keep them simple. So, a very easy high protein breakfast would be low fat or non fat Greek yogurt. If you can tolerate dairy, you can also get lactose free. A good portion of that, probably about
Mhm.
three-quarter cup, maybe a cup of that, um, with some granola on top, because you're going to get some nice carbohydrates in the granola. You're going to get some really good protein in the dairy.
Mhm.
Dairy also has one of the most important amino acids, leucine, which is important for protein muscle synthesis. So that's a great breakfast. And
Mhm.
for meat eaters, well, actually, I'm just going to go to eggs plus
Mhm.
some egg whites. And this is what I also try to tell people too. You don't have to only have eggs. You don't have to only have egg whites. You could actually have one egg because the yolk of an egg has really healthy nutrients in it. The little bit of
Mhm.
fat is actually going to be good for you. Um,
Mhm.
and so the minerals in the egg yolk with the protein of some added egg whites. You could make a really nice vegetable egg white omelet. And if you want to get, if you're a meat eater, and actually what I like to get people to do is experiment, well, let's add in some shrimp maybe, or let's add in some
Mm.
shredded chicken or some shredded ham to that
Mhm.
omelet. And all of a sudden, then you add like you're kind of you're adding in different flavors. You add some vegetables. You're adding in different colors and also the micronutrients. So that's a really great way to look at it. And you can also think of different foods that you might eat later on in the day a little bit like how could you have them for breakfast? So if you like chicken breast and you've got some leftover chicken breast from your dinner before or your night before, you could slice some of that thin chicken breast and just have it on the side, or maybe put like a little bit of avocado on some toast with the chicken breast layered on top. That's a
Mhm.
tomato, a little salt and pepper. That'd be a great breakfast as well.
I see. Oh, that sounds really lovely. I know goat cheese is also can
Yes.
be really helpful and has some
Yeah.
protein in it, I would
Mhm.
imagine.
It has some protein. Yeah, it has some protein generally, but you with cheeses, you're probably going to max out on your fats before you max out on the protein, but definitely like spreading a good healthy amount of goat cheese onto a piece of toast and then topping it with some sliced chicken bread or maybe even some cooked
Mhm.
shrimp with maybe with a little basil and tomato, like so you can
Oh,
think of
wow.
some non-conventional ways. That was really an eye-opener for me when I started really looking at my own nutrition before I became a coach. I was like, well, I'm kind of stuck on this, breakfast foods purely for breakfast. But I was like, well, couldn't I have chicken or
Mhm.
steak? Like, couldn't I do that? Those kind of things. So that really just opened up a whole new world for me. Now I kind of like making, little concoctions.
Your concoctions, I love that. I also like concoctions, and they often, include some avocados, some
Yes.
sourdough, and some goat cheese and
Oh, yes.
something. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the best. Um, you haven't, talked about sugar, and I'm guessing you have some opinions about it.
Well, to be honest, I actually on really a hot topic nutrition topics. I just repeated myself there, but I actually try to go a little bit more down the middle, and I will tell you why. Because for our entire lives, we have been told this is good, this is bad, we should eat this, we should eat bad. So if you are obviously, so I'm going to preface this and put a big asterisk here saying, if you're diabetic or
Mm,
if you have some, an illness or something like that, obviously sugar is a big part of what might inflame that or not. We're just going to put a pin in what I'm about to say. However, for the general population, when people and when my clients that I work with, when I get them eating more protein in their diet and eating a lot more vegetables and fruits and things like that, whole, beautiful sourdough breads. And when they start actually rounding out their plates more and eating more evenly throughout the day, the conversation around sugar becomes a little bit of a moot point because their palates start to change. So that's why I tell people, I'm like, let's just table the conversation about sugar because in moderation, it actually is a lovely thing to have a dessert every once in a while.
I
So
think that is and that goes back to I'm not about restriction.
no, no, no. And also because I really work with women on developing nutritional habits as
Mhm.
opposed to having lists of food that are good or bad, because that just keeps us like in the dieting mindset or restriction mindset. And I really want women in this age of life, like, you can't tell me that if you've raised a family and gone through what you've gone through and coming up to this stage of life, that like you like that you can't I don't know, I think it's that going back to that wisdom. I want you to be free. Like you don't need to be, with everything you've gone through in life, you are tough and you're strong, and we're going to figure this out so
Mhm.
that you can have a balanced relationship with food. And then sugar is just something that's like, oh, I'm going to have a treat today. And maybe you have one or two treats a week, but it's actually because you choose it, not because we're at the mercy of a craving or, that our blood sugar going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So the conversation around sugar becomes an entirely different conversation when the plate and the nutritional habits get rounded out.
I think I mean, I can say that because my diet is mostly quite beautiful. I,
Yeah,
it sounds Pollyannish, but I just don't crave sugar like I once did because it's
completely.
like I'm having really most of the time. Sometimes I stand at the counter and have an apple with peanut butter because I'm in a rush.
But
But
that's like
yeah,
that's really healthy.
but, I think that that's so true that when we're in a restricting mindset, it's always like what I can't have, what I can't have. And of course, your psyche's going to say, no, I'm not
Yeah,
playing this game. And
exactly.
yeah. So and it's not yeah, I find that to be really wise and hard for people to believe at first because they felt at the mercy of sugar and
Yeah,
treats and all of this and
yeah,
they've gotten into that habit. But it really is if you make food something that that is you have your own desires, you have your own taste
yeah,
buds. I once had a
exactly.
client who said she eats a lot of Greek yogurt because it's got lots of protein, but she hates it. And
Oh,
I said, there's a lot of other things you can
yeah,
choose, and that is really such a setup. So some of this is about really speaking to, as you say, your inner wisdom
yes,
and your
yeah.
resilience and how different it is for you or I to be satisfied. We have different things that would make us satisfied. Would you think that's true?
That is completely true. And actually, you just said a really great point and something that I wanted to. There's 2 points that I'm going to make just to build on what you just said in my app. So my one-on-one coaching got so out of hand that, well, not out of hand, the wait list became so long. So I developed an app with the principles of my one-on-one coaching to help women through this. And I don't provide in there, which is different from most apps, any recipes or meal plans or anything. I really want to teach women how to put a healthy plate together based on the foods that they like and they
Mm.
enjoy. I want to really help them figure out, like, what are those foods that you've blacklisted? Let's bring some of those back and
Mhm.
figure out where it fits. I have women that have written off sugar and chocolate and everything, but they end up, they've restricted that for so long because they've labeled it as bad. And this is actually, I'm going to loop back to that in one moment, but they've labeled it as bad. And so what they do is they restrict it for so long, and then they'll have like an out of hand episode with eating half of a chocolate cake at some point.
Mhm. I
So
like the way you describe that, an
yeah,
out of hand
yeah,
episode.
that's an out of hand episode, because not everyone. I'm a coach. I'm not a therapist. I do not label anyone with an eating disorder or
Mhm.
anything. That's not my lane.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's just an out of hand episode, which is a reaction to restricting something for too long. So
Mhm.
I'm like, well, what I say to them, well, what do you like? Let's make a food of the, let's, write back to me with a list of the foods that you like. And what are the ones that you've labeled as bad? And let's see like one or two of those that we can add into like your daily plan so that you can learn very slowly that it's not bad for you. Actually, in moderation, and as part of an overall nutrition, a nice habitual nutrition strategy, it can fit. And so I've taken women from having too many, half the chocolate cake episodes, down to
Mhm.
eating a square of delicious chocolate every
Mhm.
day, that they stop and they pause and they have a
Mhm.
square of chocolate. And then the restricting, to half chocolate cake episodes go away, because they've learned that, oh, this isn't bad. This is actually a nice little treat in my day. And I can do this every day and still stay on track and still be healthy. And I recently heard a or she's actually a registered dietitian, and her name is Michelle Yates. And I heard her speak about the labeling of foods as good and bad, and this hit the nail on the head of how I've been trying to describe this. So I'm giving all the credit to her. But when she was talking about this and how harmful it is, if we label foods as good and bad, good or bad,
Mhm.
or dirty or clean or
Mhm.
unhealthy, then we're, especially good and bad, we're assigning a morality to that food.
Mhm.
And then if we eat that food, we then deem ourselves to be immoral and bad eating that food. So what started out as something external of us, being a bad food, now is internal. And then we beat ourselves up about it. And then we split ourselves in two because we're angry at ourselves, but we can't escape ourselves, these things. So working to try to first remove those labels and let us try to see how we can actually maybe learn that these foods are not bad or good and they can fit into healthy eating habits. Some of them, again, some
Mhm.
we want to
Oh,
have more,
yeah.
we want to have
A
more, and some foods we want to have less. But
amen on that. Yeah, I think that's so true when you say you can hear that at work or,
yeah,
wherever mostly women are gathered is, "I was so bad this weekend," or, "I
yes.
was so
Oh, I
good," and
know.
it's painful to hear because
Yeah,
that's, as you say, it's not a moral issue. It's
no.
less or more constructive to your health.
Yeah.
But that's what, really I like about your approach, Caroline, is very collaborative. You're
Oh, well,
not
thank
saying,
you.
"Okay, here it is. Here's your
Yeah.
PDF, do
No,
it,
no.
and be a good girl." You're saying, it sounds to me it's very respectful and saying, "Okay, I assume that you know some stuff about about
Yeah.
yourself."
Oh my goodness. Do I ever? Well, and that's where really when I talk about the women in this demographic. I mean, I'm 43, but for some reason, through the luck of, my life, I have women that from 50 to 70 years old that really gravitate towards me. And I love it. I love
Mm.
women in this age group just because of that wisdom. And, you know, I look at them as warriors because they have gone through incredible loss, incredible sacrifice. They've raised families, they've had big jobs, they have big degrees, or if they've been a stay-at-home mom, those are the ultra champions. In my opinion, those are the ultra, ultra, ultra champions, and who am I to go in there and tell them what they need? Who am I to do that? I only want to help them uncover what they already know. But through marketing and through now social media, which is, a bit of a double-edged sword. It's where I do my marketing, but it's where it can be the most damaging to women. But I just who is anybody to tell these incredible, incredible women what they should or shouldn't do? Let's uncover the healthy things you already know how to do. Like I say to women sometimes, I'm like, you can't tell me you don't know how to put a healthy plate together. After everything you've done, after the kids you've raised, your kids are healthy. You can't tell me you don't know this. And they kind of laugh, and I'm like, hey, well, let's now direct all the things that all this energy and all this knowledge and all this action you've spent taking care of other people. Let's direct that. Like, can we direct 25% of that towards you
Mhm.
now?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's such a different approach that you're assuming that they're resourceful.
yes, that is absolutely true. And oftentimes I find my job is actually just helping them remember that they are.
You're noticing that there's ripple effects in their lives when
Yes.
you tell me a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness. This is the part that really just, oh, it just makes me so happy to be to be doing what I'm doing. Um, I find that as we age as women, and I'm going to make a very general statement, but I find it to be more generally true than not with the thousands of women that I've interacted with in this space and the hundreds that I've coached, and now the incredible amount of women that are coming into my app now. As we age, we feel a little bit invisible,
Mhm.
and sometimes not a little bit invisible, sometimes a lot invisible.
Mhm.
And through this process of the reason why strength training is so important for all the reasons we talked about at the beginning, the healthy aging, I really want women's health span to more closely match their lifespan. But the strength training builds a self-belief that women actually don't even know that it's building until like one, if they've been really consistent for about 3-4 months, at
Mhm.
some point there's a confidence they're going to be put in a situation that they're going to be able to handle in a different way and more confidently because they've been lifting some weights. And because with weight training, and the word I really work with women on is it's something called progressive overload, which is every week you're doing something with that same exercise you did last week in a way that you've never done it before. You're either lifting a little bit more weight or you're slowing down the tempo to really get the muscles, get them some more time under tension. And that resilient or that building on yourself every week eventually starts to ooze out into other areas. So, and it's inevitable. And women don't know it until it hits them at one point. So, women, will leave bad jobs and start, or jobs, maybe not a bad job, but maybe they find, they go and actually become entrepreneurs post retirement. They have more energy, obviously, to spend with friends and family. They're more present when they do. They're not afraid to actually ask for what they want, not in a selfish way, but if they want to do something on a vacation, instead of letting everybody else dictate the vacation, they might say, oh, I'd like to go on this excursion, which sounds like such a small thing, but we as women aren't very good for asking for what we need or asking for help. But literally the most beautiful thing that I see, and I get actually quite emotional when I think about this, is when I see marriages renewed. That just, I can't
I
even,
did not expect that.
oh my gosh, it is that lights me up more than anything else, because women are nurturers, and women are the nurturers in the relationships. I think when we feel like we've lost ourselves and when we become invisible, we lose that sense of ourselves. And when the marriages get better, it's just the renewed light in women's eyes, and they start traveling with their husbands, or just their daily marriages get better, and then their relationship with their kids get better, or something. There's just this magic that starts to happen, that starts to ooze out of them.
They
So,
feel more valued.
yeah, but it's because they have valued themselves. And again, it's not in a
Mhm.
selfish way. I really, really, really work with women to never, ever, ever have them eating a certain food, eating a diet food or a plate of food, and their husband is eating something else. Like, that is job number one for me. You two are eating together, come hell or high water. And your husband's not even going to be the wiser that, you're trying to change your eating habits. So, like, that is so important to me. That is so important to me, that the family unit it has to get healthier doing this, or else there's no point to it for me, because the woman needs to get healthier, yes, but also the family unit is such an integral part of this. We don't do this in a vacuum.
Hmm. Hi, Zestful-agers. Did you know that we have enormous control over how we age? What we do every day sets us up for the kind of longevity and health span we'll be enjoying for our future. If you'd like the blueprint on how to live better, longer, I have created a course that cuts right through all of the contradictory and sometimes harmful advice and is built on science and the more than 350 interviews I've done with experts in the field of aging. You can find my Zestful Aging course at zestfulaging.com under the Courses tab. Get ready to feel more energetic, vibrant, and joyful. Now, back to the show. I don't know that there are a lot of other coaches who do what you're doing. Is that fair to say, Caroline? I mean, it sounds like you've got all of these skills, but there's these deeper vision you have for health.
I, well, thank you for that. That really warms my heart. I really like to look at women as complete beings, because we are. And actually, the strength training and the nutrition is a way in. It's a way in, just like, but for some women, starting an art class and finding, a pottery community and getting out doing that, or finding a birding community, that,
Mm-hmm.
or pickleball community, or
Oh
whatever, or,
boy, you're hitting all my
yeah,
favorites. Yep,
but
yep.
the
That
women,
you're seen and you're
yeah,
valued, and
exactly.
it's the invisibility. I think that is so true, and I hear that so often with
Yeah.
clients, like especially if you had a history of being really valued for your physical appearance. And then
Exactly.
all of a sudden, people,
Yeah.
are not giving you attention for that. It is devastating.
It completely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do have to tell you a funny story. I shared
Yes.
with you off mic that I love my rebounder and I use it a
Yes.
lot, right? And
Yes.
I have what I call baby weights. Well, the other day I noticed that I had these little budding biceps and I was
Ooh.
running around and I was saying to my husband, I've got biceps. I've got biceps. And it was like,
Oh, I love it.
I didn't think I ever had them before, but when I say baby weights, I am not kidding. And of course it's different when you're in a rebounder because the gravity
Oh, it
increases,
adds something.
it
Yeah.
adds something,
Yeah.
but I can say that I've experienced some of what you're describing, that
Yeah.
you just feel more solid, not like
Yeah.
I'm not a hyper weightlifter, or I'm not an example of a premium lean muscle, but I'm very active,
Of
and
course you are. Yeah.
I do that, and I really appreciate my leg muscles because I'm a big
Yeah.
walker, and but there is something about, like, wow, look at what my body can do.
It's so, you hit the nail on the head. Actually, your last statement there is so bang on, because I get a lot of women that are new to strength training, and one of the first things a lot of the times that they'll say is, "Oh, but I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get big." And I'm like, it's
Mm.
actually completely, incredibly impossible for that to happen. Because we do not have the genetic makeup nor the hormonal cocktail in
Right.
our
We're not
bodies.
serving steroids with that
No,
beautiful salad.
no, exactly. Unless you're gonna like take, these steroids, it's not going to happen. And so I
Mm.
really, really try to work with women again to progressively overload. We want to build that muscle, and also strength training is incredible for bones. I've had women completely get off all, osteoporosis medicine,
Ah.
because their doctor actually had one woman, she's 64, and she went to her doctor, and she has diagnosed osteoporosis, and her doctor said, "What other doctor did you go to?" She said, "What? I don't but your bones, like, it's incredible what's happened since I saw you last."
Wow.
And she said, "Well, I've just been like heavy strength training." And she said his jaw fell on the floor.
Mm.
She's off her meds, and she's just
Mm.
continues to just do progressive overload strength training. But the beautiful thing is, like, she's like, "Look at my body now. I have muscles, and but not
Mm.
bulky muscles, nice
Right.
long lean muscles, because generally that's how we as women build muscle."
I came upon some research by actually somebody who, it wasn't just some random Facebook person.
Mhm.
But I was wondering about if you knew about it or thoughts about it, that actually doing some weight training and using muscles produces also a mood, it has a mood impact, and that
For sure.
this woman was saying that when we do anything that stimulates our muscles, in fact, they promote good mood because of the chemistry that happens as we use our muscles. What do you know about that? I am not too familiar with that.
Yeah, I well, so it's I'm going to talk about it from a couple different angles. So from the angle that I alluded to before, like the confidence that's boosted when you
Mm.
actually most gyms actually have mirrors. I mean, I have a home gym. I don't have any mirrors in my home gym because we actually just didn't put any in. But when you go to a gym and you see yourself over and over lifting those weights, you're visually seeing yourself get stronger and seeing yourself like build muscle and lift heavy things.
Mm.
That Because we're looking at ourselves with our eyes, we visually see ourselves looking strong. We start to perceive ourselves internally differently over time. So our focus of ourself changes. How we feel in the world will obviously change too, because we will get more lean muscle. Usually when we build more lean muscle, we will also lose some fat if we have fat to lose. And that just makes us feel lighter and healthier, which obviously impacts our mood. There have been so many studies done that strongly correlate strength training and moderate cardio to a healthier mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Just again, because of the a part of it is, dopamine is our reward chemical. So when we know that we feel good after a workout, we anticipate the workout from a more happy perspective because we anticipate the reward of feeling good. Also, that we talk a lot about endorphins, that runner's high. Well, runners, I'm a runner. We are not the only people that, reap the benefits of the runner's high. And, endorphins I'm talking very generally here, but in exercise, endorphins get released to help actually numb pain. That's a
Mm-hmm.
big part of what they do in the body. I mean, that's a very one part depiction of what endorphin does. But when we're going through heavy strength training and we're lifting those weights, our body will release a lot of those different hormones to help to mitigate maybe some
Mm-hmm.
the I guess the feeling of challenging pain, not pain and like hurting yourself, but the strenuous, because you're
Mm-hmm.
doing a strenuous activity.
Yes.
So our body, to counteract the strenuous pain, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, because I want to make a clear distinction between bad pain and like the challenging pain that comes with working out. So yeah, our body will absolutely do that to take care of us. So it really is. We come at it from so many different angles of why strength training can just be such a mood booster.
That's so good to know these days when so many people are struggling.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's great. So just to shift gears here and
yeah,
not to put you on a spot, but you
no,
were just on the cover
yes,
of a pretty fancy magazine, and
yes.
what was that like for you?
That was a that was a bucket list moment. I didn't really even realize was a bucket list moment until I got asked to do it. And when I was a young girl and I struggled with body weight issues. I went on my first diet when I was 9 years old, and in my 20s and 30s I struggled a lot with mental health and depression and very disordered eating patterns. And so the fact that I've come out of that, I mean, I had therapy and did all, like, I worked with a professional but strength training and healthy nutrition was such a big part of coming out of that phase of my life and being able to really build a life that I'm proud of. And so being on the cover of a magazine for being strong and fit and healthy was just such a, a cherry on the cake, because it really, for me, showed me the work that I've done. I'm really glad that a lot of people get to see the cover of the magazine, but a really important part of it for me as well and I think I told you this when we spoke earlier, that I did not diet. I did not restrict to be on the cover of that magazine. I just did the things that I do every day, which is all the things that I've talked about already, healthy strength training. I love to run. I love to eat food. I still had
You
my
told you
healthy, or my treat meal every week, which is, pizza and a glass of wine. I sit down and I eat pretty much a
ah,
whole pizza, but the rest of the time I'm really on point with eating a balanced, nutritious diet. And because I love that. And so that was a really important thing for me, to not diet or restrict to be on a cover. I could not talk about all these things that I talk about so emphatically and then say, oh, but sorry, that doesn't apply to me. I'm going to go be on the cover and give you all something
wow.
unattainable to aspire to. That's just was a non-negotiable for me. So it was a moment that for me, I was just very proud of. It just showed sort of the culmination of my healing, and to be able to share that with the rest of the world was pretty powerful.
Wow, that's a beautiful evolution, Caroline.
Thank
That's
you.
really beautiful. So I know people are going to want to learn more about you, and there's
Yes.
many ways to do it.
Yes.
Can you please share the best ways to find out more about your work?
Yes. Well, if anybody is on Instagram, you can find me at carolinedrury.fit. And if you ever can't remember Drury, just think of the song The Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? Just think of that. And so carolinedrury.fit is my
Okay.
handle on Instagram. You can also find me, my website is www carolinedrury.fit. So those two go together. And
Okay.
for my new app that I've released,
Yeah.
which I'm very involved in, and you can message me in there. If you subscribe, everything you need to begin is in there, and the content is constantly evolving as I learn from the women that are in there of what they need. It's called the Beyond Before and After app, and the website
Mhm.
is www.beyondbeforeandafter.app. App.
Beyond before and after. That's a
Yeah.
great name.
Thank you. I love that name, and it really came about because the before and after photos are a very powerful marketing tool, and actually for a woman who's gone on a very significant transformation journey, it is a very powerful tool for us to never forget the woman who started, and we need to thank her because she knew that there was better. But to see that the transition is a very powerful tool when we feel less than motivated, when we feel less than inspired, or when we want to regress into old habits. However, they can be sometimes unattainable in the fact that they just show a before and after. Well, I look at them as like, well, it was a starting point and where I am now. And I got a lot of questions from women on Instagram saying, okay, I love the before and after photos, Caroline. They're so inspiring, but like, what happens next? What's like after
Mm.
the after? And that was a great question that I remember specifically the first time I got it. And that really is what I truly believe in, and everything that we've talked about, healing marriages, healing relationships, finding new friend groups through this. Um, I really want to get women to the point where they can get some strength training. Let's clean up your nutrition, and then let's go living beyond all of that. And so that's why I named it the Beyond Before and After.
Yeah, it sounds really fitting for
Thank you.
all that you do, and congratulations on all of your success. You are just like
Well, thank
yeah,
you.
fireworks. It's
Well, thank you.
beautiful, beautiful. And shout out to Maddie Dykewald for
Yes.
introducing Caroline and I. She knew we would be kindred spirits.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
really
she's just
lovely.
wonderful. Yeah, she's such a great woman.
She really is. Well, thank you so much, Caroline, for spending time with me today and
Thank
and
you.
and sharing your wisdom with our audience all over the world, and who I think would really resonate with your beautiful message.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to meet your audience and to speak with them. And thank you so much for having me on. It was a really, really great privilege.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends.
Our theme song is All I Did Was Wait for You by Kjartan Abel. Visit Kjartan-Abel, that's KJARTAN-Abel, ABEL.com to hear more of Kjartan's work. And our technical director is Stephen Litweiler.
And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest. See you then.